My name is Lisa Long. I'm the Customer Service and Account Manager at Iowa Land Records. I am happy that you are here. All of us at Iowa Land Records are happy that you are joining us today. There are some recorders that are joining us, and if you have questions or comments, you can put them in the chat pod, and we'd be happy to respond to those as quickly as possible throughout the webinar. And if we don't know the answer, we'll certainly get back to you. I think the first thing I want to check on is, how's the audio today? Is it good? Is it not good? Can you hear okay? All right, I'm getting a good or that it was better. If that changes throughout the webinar, shoot me a message. As I move, I think things change with my computer. So let's talk about e-submission. I love electronic recording because it's fast, it is secure, and I think it's a really efficient way to use your time. It is fast in that you could submit documents right now during this webinar and have them recorded before the webinar ends. Now that's dependent on the county and if the document has all the right formatting, all of the correct information, all those things that you have to take care of as a submitter. But I love that about it, how fast it is, that you get to keep the originals in your office. Side note, Iowa Land Records does not have a policy for your records retention. So if you submit something for recording, those originals belong to you and you can choose what to do with them. I think e-submission is efficient because you can submit this. It can be going through the recording process while you go about your day through other things. And I think it's cost efficient because even though there is a charge associated with e-submission of $3 per document in addition to the recording fees, postage is not cheap. Let's all go back. If you're of any age, you remember when postage was 37 cents or 50 cents, and I think a stamp is 78 cents each right now. I'm not 100% sure. So I love e-submission. Last year, over 65% of all documents were recorded in Iowa were recorded electronically. We don't have the numbers for this year, but we do believe that will go up. And it ranges from, we're right across the street from the courthouse, so we're going to walk our documents over. We totally get that. You have a relationship with the people in the recorder's office like we do, and you want to go see them and talk to them, and maybe you're going to stop in to see the treasurer or the assessor. But we also we're across the street from the courthouse, but I work on Saturday morning, so I can submit everything for recording, and it's recorded by the time I get in at 9 o'clock on Monday morning. So both sides of the story, we're happy to work with you in any way. So let's work through the process of submitting documents for recording. We'll come back and we'll talk about the admin functions within e-submission. And then we'll go to search because there were some questions about how the ILR search function works. So let's get started. You've got documents to record. You've got them scanned in black and white, in portrait orientation and 300 DPI. The exception to that rule is if you're submitting a survey, you may submit it in landscape orientation. Okay, so black and white, portrait orientation, 300 DPI is your best practice. If a document has too much color in it, it's in grayscale, the background doesn't work, you're going to see messages like you see right here in red. So I think a best practice is after you select submit group, that you come back here by clicking on home, come back here to pending groups and make sure that it was actually submitted, or that you see the message, which you'll see as I go through this demonstration, that it was submitted successfully. So keep that in mind. Make sure that it's submitted in black and white, portrait orientation, 300 DPI. A color signature is acceptable, so that means you're scanned it in color, but as a color signature is acceptable, maybe a colored logo but otherwise we really do encourage black and white. And making sure you meet those standards ensures that both you and the recorder has a good quality recorded document. So you've got documents to record, you've got them all scanned and you're ready to go. You're going to select new submission. Now you're creating a group. Think of this as an envelope that you would potentially be addressing to go to the recorder, okay? So you're going to select the county. For our test environment, we submit most often to Adair County. And then you're going to name the group, something that allows you to find it later. It could be a file number, a customer name, a date, whatever works for you. We don't have a policy on that. So it's whatever works best for you. It might be Smith, Jonathan, and today's date. Okay, so we're going to use webinar, back to the county. We're going to use webinar 11/18/25. And I'm going to put the A behind it because it's the first group of my day, and select save. And now I'm going to start adding documents to the group. I know this is the group I'm working on because it has a lock over here. And if someone else in my office attempted to access this, they would have an error message, not an error message, a message would display telling them that somebody else is working on it and they'd have to acknowledge it, okay? So we're going to add a document here. The group I'm creating today will be a deed, a declaration of value, a groundwater, a mortgage, and a power of attorney. So what you're going to see is that the fees for the total group will display here, and they will continue to increase as I add additional documents. So the first document is a deed. You could also use warranty deed, whichever one you like. The number of auditor transfers defaults to 1. You can increase this number to any number you like. But remember, Iowa law only allows $50 to be charged. So even if you have 12 parcels, your biggest charge will be $50. You have to enter a real estate value, and we're going to use $500,000 here. So there you go. And then we're going to browse for the image. So remember, I'm using some test images here. So, and then save. And as soon as I select save, you'll see a couple things. First, the fee summary over here will populate. This is for the fees on this document. The standard fee is calculated by the number of pages in the document I attached. The transfer fee will be $5 because there's one parcel here. And the real estate value here will help calculate this transfer tax, okay? And also there will be a modal that pops up that asks me for party names. So save, and there's the fees, and then it's asking for the names. So I'm going to do a person here. I'm going to use my own name and Lisa, and then select save. So now you've got all your charges for this document based on everything that was entered. Got my name. I can edit this if I like. Use my initials, okay, and then save. And it's telling me I need a declaration of value and a groundwater. And it's not going to let me submit until I add those documents. So I'm selecting add document, the declaration of value, and browse. And what you will notice is that there are no fees for a declaration of value document. So the total fees up here stay the same. And one more time, we'll be adding the groundwater. So scroll down here, add document, groundwater. So notice that you are adding each one of these separately to the group, okay? So you're not scanning the groundwater, the DOV, and the deed as one image. Okay, so there's everything. If everything looked good and this is all the documents you had, you could go ahead and submit right now if you wanted to. You could change the county. Maybe you wanted it to be Adams. You could change that if you wanted to. I'll change that back to Adair.
Lisa, we had a couple of questions. Also, if you can pull back on your mic a little bit. It's occasionally I got a little bit of feedback. Otherwise sounding good. Um, one of the questions was saying they had a record declined because it was signed in blue ink, but only by one recorder's office. They were, I guess, asking if that was correct or if it
If
needed
you
to be in a different
don't
color.
mind, if you could send us that information, we'd be happy to reach out to the county and walk through that with them. But in general, we say black and white, but a blue signature should be fine. I'd love to see that document and take a look at it. And then Joseph, I see your question about should there be at least one auditor transfer fee? And in general, I would say yes. But it's based on the number of parcels being transferred. And there are some reporters participating today, so I've absolutely let them chime in the chat pod, but it is based on the property being transferred. But in general, on a conveyance document, there's always one auditor transfer fee. The exception may be on a bill of sale where the structure on the property is being transferred, but the property is not being transferred. So the land is not being transferred, but the building on it. So we see that occasionally. I hope those answer your questions. Okay.
There's also one more question in the Q&A. Uh, they said they had documents rejected for having the wrong number in number of additional transactions. Um, I'm counting the wrong number of reference numbers. What all is considered a reference number? And that is in the Q&A section if you want to take a look too.
Um, in that situation, John, I would encourage you to talk to the recorder. That is not my area of expertise. And there is sometimes a difference of opinion on that. So I would absolutely encourage you to reach out to the recorder or submit it without any additional transactions and then have them change the fees and send that back to you. And I apologize I apologize for being vague on that. John Daniels, the difference between a transfer affidavit and a non-transfer affidavit. This is one of my absolute favorite questions. Transfer affidavit transfers property, like the affidavit of surviving spouse is where it's seen often. So A and B own the properties. One of them is deceased and it's being transferred to the surviving spouse. That's an affidavit transfer. A non-transfer affidavit, we would say, is a statement of fact. An example I use often is I live in a townhouse. If I were to sell my townhome, the association would have to say that my association dues are current before my house could close. So it would be saying, hey, yes, Lisa Long's dues are current. It might also be a trustee's affidavit or a purchaser's affidavit. Those would be non-transfer affidavits. Again, the recorders that are participating today are welcome to jump in and answer questions too. I love your perspective always, and I'm often reaching out and asking like, hey, can you guys help me with this? So good questions. I love this back and forth. Okay, I'm going to add the mortgage and the power of attorney here. Okay, so I'm adding the document. I'm selecting mortgage. These are the documents are in alphabetical order, and if you start typing, it will pop one up for you. And so you can see that the number of pages, the standard fee was calculated, and there's a $3 e-submission fee. And then adding one more document, and that's power of attorney. And there's all the documents in the group. The group is in progress, meaning it has not been submitted. If you see documents in this pending groups list, those are things that need your attention. We sometimes say that is your to-do list, okay? You can still change the county. You could delete this document if you wanted to. And so it's always going to ask you if you want to make, if you want to do it. You can change the order. So if I wanted this power of attorney to be first, I'm left clicking on it on the submission number and I'm moving it to where I want it to be. So left click and move it to where you want to be. If you have been using e-submission for over 2 years, you will remember that in the old or legacy e-submission, you had to click arrows to get them in the right order. So this is a huge improvement in our opinion, and one that is really great. Okay, everything looks good. You're ready to submit this. Last step is always submit group, and that's what I'm going to do right now. Watch for a green message up here that says it was submitted successfully. You are not going to receive an email telling you it was submitted successfully, okay? So submit group. And then, so there it is. And then one more time, I said, come back here to home and make sure that it is not in your list right here. And you can use the arrows up here to reorder these. So we've got everything in Adair County, so I don't need to do that, but I can check to see who's been submitting things, the group status. So in progress, it hasn't been submitted, recorder declined, that kind of thing. So I think it's a really great system. So let's do another one, another new
I'm
submission.
gonna pause real quick to cover the chat. I think we covered some of this. There was a comment asking if they wanted to record a lease and the property in question had 3 parcels under the lease. Would that mean the number of auditor parcels would be 3, even for a recording lease? And someone actually responded to that too, saying that you would put the amount that you put on the DOV in the real estate value box. Does that cover the question? And this is a question that came up in the chat.
Okay, so just to double check, if the D states the value of $1, which is normal, but the DOV that I would file with it says the real, yes, that's what you're going to put in the real estate value section, yes.
I'm sorry. There's 2 Josephs that had a question, and I think I just mixed up Brittany's response to the different Joseph. Thank you, other Joseph. Let me just read the questions. The first question, which I think Brittany was answering, if the deed states the value is $1, but the DOV that I would file and it says the real estate value, which one would I put into the real estate value section? And I think that's what Brittany was answering, so that makes more sense. Lisa, do you want me to cover that other question again so you can answer, at least since I made a mistake on that?
The lease and the property in question has 3 parcels under the lease. Would that mean the number of auditor parcels would be 3, even for recording a lease? Okay, recorder friends, jump in here. Shauna, I know you're here, and I may have to pick on you a little bit. Are you collecting auditor transfers on a lease? And I think no, because the property is not actually being conveyed from A, the owner, to B, the person leasing it. So I'm hoping a recorder will jump in and answer that. But you know what, Joseph, we will get the answer to that for you. So Kristen or Corey, if one of you can make a note on that, we'll follow up. Okay, on to more submitting documents. So I've got a new group here with a group name. I changed it to a webinar 11/18/25B and save. And I'm going to do a deed again. And the number of auditors is defaulting to 1, but I can easily make that 2. And when I select save after I do this document, then the auditor fee right here will be $10. Okay, and this document is exempt from the groundwater because of a law that was passed in Iowa a couple of years ago that said if there are no positive conditions on a groundwater, it doesn't have to be recorded. But you do have to include the statement on the document saying that there are no positive conditions. The verbiage is actually much longer, but you do have to include that. So right here, we're selecting that it is exempt, okay? Now I'm browsing for the image. Oh, I have to put a real estate value of 75,000 and then browse. So Joseph, to your question, this is the amount on the DOV, okay? And then browse for the image. And one party is all you need, grantor or grantee, person or individual. So we're doing grantee and organization. Bank of the East. You are only required to enter, and there's only room for one party to be entered in a submission. What you need to know is that the counties review all documents and they index all parties. So you only have to enter one, and the counties review everything and they index all the parties on the document. And actually, earlier this morning, I saw a document from one of our external submitters. So their interface looks a little bit different. And I'm guessing there were 12 parties there. And because of the way their system currently works, they have to enter all of the parties. And that's a lot. So I like the efficiency of this. So I'm going to save. I know it's telling me I need the DOV. So I'll add that. And that's Joseph, is where you're going to have the actual value of $75,000. The reporters are checking those. Okay, he said 75 in real estate value for the conveyance document, and that's actually what it says on the DOB that's with this. So everything's good in this group, and it's ready to be submitted. Again, I know it's not been submitted because it says in progress. I know this is the group that I'm working on because it has the lock here. And now we're going to select submit group. Okay. Thanks everyone for the questions. Does anyone have questions about the submission process? Stephanie, it looked like you raised your hand. That might be a error, but I want to double check with you. And Courtney, thank you for your answer. I appreciate you. Okay, let's do one more submission. So this would be a deed that is in fulfillment of a contract. So when you submitted the contract for recording, you submitted the declaration of value and a groundwater. And as you know, in e-submission, if you on a conveyance document, it is going to ask you for the DOB and the groundwater. That's when that orange message displayed. So what you'll do is put the value here because the contract is complete. So the value was 850,000. That's what was on the DOV at the time the contract was recorded. And you're going to select right here, the groundwater and the DOV exemption, and then browse. And then you're not going to get that message popping up telling you that you need the DOV and the groundwater. Okay? Everybody feel good about that? So that one is easily submitted. That's an easy one. Okay, questions about the submission process or something you would like me to submit so you can see it? And no question is off the table here, okay? Documents in a group need to all be going to the same county, but they don't have to be related, okay? So it could be that you have 6 releases for one county, there are banks and credit unions that regularly would have 6 releases going to Polk County, Johnson County, Lynn County. It doesn't really matter which one. But they submit them all in one group. So it's 6 documents added to the same group, and each one is for a different person, and that's perfectly correct. It's perfectly fine. We would say best practice is to not put more than 10 documents in one group. So if you've got 10 releases, or maybe you've got 15 releases, you put 10 of them in one group and 5 in the second one. However, you may have a big group of conveyances that everything needs to be recorded in a specific order. Then go over the 10 because you want to make sure everything is reported in the correct order. Also, if you have a deed, declaration of value, a groundwater, and a mortgage, you need to do one of 2 things. Submit those 4 documents as one package, one group, and get them back recorded, or submit the conveyance, the deed, the declaration of value, and the groundwater in a group, and then wait for it to be recorded and submit the mortgage, because you could have something in that first group declined and the mortgage could be recorded and then everything is out of order. So either submit them all together, the deed, the DOV, the groundwater, and the mortgage, or submit them as 2 separate groups, but only after the first group has been recorded. Okay.
We do have some conversations happening in the chat and another question.
Okay.
Thank you for your that last comment on if you submit more than one in the group and one of them is declined, all 10 won't be recorded until they come back with all 10 correct. That was a note that was added. And then in the chat, we have 3 different questions. One asking if you could give an example of what will for sure have an auditor transfer and what would not. Does it have the transfer tax language on the deed for it to be 1 for the auditor transfer box? Sorry.
I can read it, please.
Yeah. That's Brittany's question in the webinar chat. Do you want me to read it again?
I'm going to answer Madison's question first.
Okay.
Where would it be transfer tax exempt? It could be something that is being transferred into a trust. Recorders, Courtney, Shauna, I don't know who else joined. Can you help us with some answers of when something would be transfer tax exempt, please? It might be a sheriff's sale. I'm trying to think of other examples. But there are certainly a lot of times if the government is involved, it is transfer tax exempt. So we're going to ask the recorders to jump in on that question. Okay, Kristen, what was the other question, please?
We have a couple of questions. The one I was reading you was asking for an example of what is an auditor transfer and what would not be an auditor transfer, and specifically asking, does it have to have the transfer tax language on the deed for it to be number 1 for the auditor transfer box?
I'm sorry, I'm confused by that question. If you could clarify in chat, that would be, oh, thanks, Nancy. Nancy Booten is the Lee County reporter. And so, oh, thank you, John. Okay. If you submit more than one document in a group and one is to decline because of an issue, all 10 won't be recorded until they come back with all 10 correct. So you have 10 documents in a group, and I actually have an example of this. Only it's much fewer. It's only 3. So we've got 3 documents here that were submitted together. 2 of them were declined. 1 of them was approved. So approved is that just that it's approved, but it's not recorded. So nothing's going to be recorded until you resubmit. Courtney has listed where you can find the exemption codes. Okay, so let's talk about declined documents now. You submit documents for recording, they come back to you because there was a problem. Much like the recorder returning it to you in the mail or calling you and saying, hey, there's a problem with this. If it was over the counter, we need to correct this before we could record it. So if you submit it electronically, it's declined electronically. You would receive a notification in your email telling you that it was declined and why it was declined. The recorder puts that information when they decline it, and that comes to you in that email. It's down at the bottom, and it has the recorder's information there too if you wanted to contact them by email or phone. So it will show up in pending groups. Like I said, these are the groups that you need to take a look at, determine what's going on, okay? So all you do is log in, select group name, click on that. So you can see what's going on with everything. This one was approved. So you don't need to take any action on it. This one was declined. If you click on the submission number and then scroll down, the county said the format is too small. Remember, this is me making things up when I'm doing this. But again, this could be something the document format is off. So when the county declines a document, they select a reason from a drop-down menu, and they also have to enter a comment. And it may be as simple as other, please call us, and their phone number, okay? So what you're gonna do is fix this. You're going to you're gonna correct the document, you're gonna rescan it, you're gonna save it to your computer, and you're gonna click on this submission number and go right here to edit in the submission form. And you're going to scroll down here to replace document image and then select browse. And you're going to find the new image. And save it. It will recalculate based on the number of pages in the document if everything looks good. So now this one is in resubmission. This one is approved, approved. This one is the group we're working on because the lock is on it. This one's still in declined. So again, you're clicking on the submission number. You're looking to see what's problem. It's missing the 3-inch margin on page 1. So you're fixing that. You're clicking edit. Document formatting standards in e-submission are exactly the same as if you were delivering the document to the county via mail, messenger, or someone in your office is dropping it off. And now you're grabbing a new image and saving it. Fees recalculate. You've got your total group fees here. If everything's good, now submit group is active. And it was submitted successfully. Okay. Questions that I have missed. I appreciate everyone has been jumping in and helping. Okay.
Wait, we did have a couple other questions, Lisa. Someone asked if they were able to submit vehicle titles, and then I have one more question for you.
Vehicle titles cannot be submitted. And recorders, I'm going to ask you to jump in. Is there any reason a vehicle title would be recorded? I can't think of one, but possibly. I'm not thinking of something. And the other question is?
The other question is from Stephanie, and I'm sorry if I missed an example of this. They asked if you could submit an easement.
Yes, I can do that right now. Okay, Courtney, thank you. I can't think of anything either. If we polled all of the recorders in Iowa, somebody would undoubtedly have an example of when a title was recorded with something, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Nancy, thank you. Okay, submitting an easement, select new submission, a dare, and we're going to name this easement. So I'm using this group name as an example for you to think of things as you're working through things. I did a dare so that on your charges report, it's going to come out as a dare easement, so you can easily sort these. And then the date so that you could find these. It could also be Jones easement, long survey, any of those things, and then select save. Select the document type of easement. Browse for the image, again, scan black and white, portrait orientation, and it doesn't look like I have an easement saved, so we'll use a bad document. And then save, and then enter one name. So we'll do a branch 4 organization. Bob's Auto. And save. So you have to enter one party. The county indexes all parties on the document, so you only have to enter one. You can edit this if you like. You can, yes, however the group is named is how it will show up on the charges report. You can delete this if you want to. So if I deleted this name, it will tell me now that I need to add one. So I'm going to go back in and do that.
While you're doing that, quick question. So with that easement, there does not need to be a number of auditor parcel transfers added, even if the easement is a conversation easement.
Conservation easement.
Oh, yeah.
Nancy is saying no, but I believe some counties do charge an easement, an auditor fee on easements if it is a permanent easement. So, Joe, if you have more questions about that, get back to me and we can work through what counties you are submitting to, and we could double check with them. But some counties will charge an auditor fee on a permanent easement. Okay, so Stephanie, did that answer your question about submitting an easement? Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do submit group right here. Okay. And now I want to talk through documents, groups that are in a reporter fee change. So imagine that you submit a document and it's missing an auditor fee, or it has too many auditor fees, or in some of the examples that we have talked through, you needed additional transactions. So you submit that, the county reviews, and they determine that they need more money from you. So they review the document and they send it back to you in a fee change status, and it will show up here in your pending groups. You're also going to have that email telling you that the fees need to be changed. So click on the group name and it tells you that the fees have been changed. And to complete this, select the fee change for each submission. You can always select the submission number to review the history and submission form. So I want to show you both ways, okay? So first, you're going to click on the submission number, scroll down here to the bottom, and you'll see that the fees went up from 50 to 55. So additional $5 is an additional auditor fee. And so you can see there that it went from 1 to 2. And so now you've got auditor fees over here of $2 or $10. Okay, so if you agree with that, you're going to click right here on recorder fee change. You know, this is the submission number you're working on because it's the one in bold, and you're going to select accept the fee change, and this status is going to change to resubmission. Okay, there you go. So that one's ready to go. If you got that email and you read that email and you agree with everything, you don't have to click on the submission number and scroll down. You can click right here and accept it immediately. Those are both in resubmission. This is in reporter approved. In your last step, always submit group. And we know that this is the one we're working on because of the block. Okay, so submit group.
We have a couple of different questions regarding fees. The first one I'm going to read from the Q&A is from Robin. asking if a document's margins can't be corrected like a medical POA, is there a way to still record it by paying a non-compliance fee or something?
Non-compliance fees are not allowed in e-submission, so you would need to um, submit that in paper to the county. Alternatively, you think that you could submit it with a cover page so that that first page meets the standards. But other than that, I think that that is your way. Again, I'm going to ask recorders to weigh in and ask if they have any comments on that. Okay.
Thank you. And Deidre asks, is the county's fee included in the fee summary as well? And then she specifies with their current e-recording, the county charges an additional fee on top of their e-recording fee.
Okay.
This question is in the chat.
So when you submit a document for recording through e-submission, as opposed to if you're using one of our national vendors that have an integration with Iowa Land Records, there's the Iowa recording fees, which are $7 for the first page, $5 for each additional page, any auditor fees that you may need, okay, if it's a conveyance document, or any additional transactions that you may need, okay? And there's a $3 e-submission fee on all documents except the DOV and the groundwater. I can't think of a county fee that is being charged. And if you don't mind, could you connect with me later and explain to me what that is? I can show you. We're going to search for a recorded document here. So this is our staging environment. Okay, this one's fairly recent, actually. And don't be alarmed that this says Marion survey and it's recorded in ADARE. It was a test document, but this is what the stamp should look like. So this was a survey. So there's no transfer fee, there's no auditor fee, there's no transfer fee, there's no additional transaction. So here's the Iowa filing fee and the LL. I'm not sure why that is there. So we can fix that. But again, this is our staging environment. So that's the fee that you would see. What you could see in addition to that is if your organization is using a credit card for payment, there are additional fees associated with using a credit card for payment. And that's a percentage of the total charges before the $3 e-submission fee. So that might be where you're seeing the variance in the total fee or this Iowa e-filing fee, because that's where those charges will appear. So I wonder if that's the difference you're seeing. Connect with me after. Kristen, if you don't mind, could you put contact info in the chat pod? But connect with us afterwards.
Absolutely. And I think that demo also got this other question to come in. So the auditor transfer number just depends on how many transfer docs are being added. And they also ask if a deed with affidavit of SS would be 2 versus the normal one on the auditor transfer number.
Okay. The auditor transfer fees depends on the number of parcels being transferred per document. So in the situation that you're describing here, you have a deed and an affidavit of surviving spouse. So I'm taking that as 2 documents. And if there was 1 parcel on each document, that's where the auditor fees come in. If you're submitting something like that and you have questions, if you call our office, you get everything added to the group before submitting the document, we'll be happy to take a look at it with you and make sure that we think you're on the right track. Okay. I hope that helps, Samantha. If you're new, you've said that here. Correct. Thank you, Nancy. So, okay, let's be done with this survey. let's talk about where you would use an additional transaction, okay? So, this is my favorite example because I guess I hope this will happen to me. It probably won't, but hey, a girl can dream, right? So you own a home and you have both a first and a second mortgage on the house. And I have two examples that I like to use. Great Aunt Tilly dies and leaves you a whole bunch of money, or you win the lottery, either one of those. So you go to the bank and you're paying off both of those mortgages, okay? The bank could submit two documents for recording, a release for the first mortgage and a release for the second mortgage. So two documents, okay? Or they could submit them together. So they're saying book one, page one, and book one, page two are both released and they're doing it on one document. That's where the number of additional transactions comes in, okay? You also might see that if you are doing multiple assignments on one document. So I think that those can be tricky, and it's always great to reach out and ask questions. But I do, in general, I would tell you not to use it. It's not the additional documents that you are adding to a group. It is more than one transaction on a document. Again, ask us if you have questions. Some of this sounds confusing, but honestly, it's not. You have to learn and walk through it and ask questions. And our 99 recorders are wonderful. The people that work in their office are also wonderful, and they're always happy to answer questions and get you on the right track. Okay, so any more quick submission questions? Okay, I want to walk through the menu here real quick with you up at the top. When you log in, this is what you see. In time, this will become interactive. So if we have maintenance coming up or something like that, we'll let you know there. You can change your password here. I'm not going to change mine, but I do want to show you something. Oh my gosh, this is slow. Okay. I'm going to move on to the next thing, maybe. I'm going to move to eSearch. Okay. Under change password, if you're a current user, click on that and scroll to the bottom. And I'm frustrated that this is taking so long. Scroll to the bottom and there's an attribute that you can check there so that when you submit a group of documents for recording, you only need to enter the name once, okay? And I think that's a great time saver. You can always edit those names. So click change password, scroll to the bottom and select the attribute, okay? Okay. Best case scenario, you submit documents for recording and you receive an email that they were recorded. You log in, you go to eSearch and click right here to recently recorded and select search. And they will all display right here. And you can click on the submission number and then review document. And again, that will allow you to download that to your system so you have it for your records. All documents that are recorded, the counties upload those to Iowa Land Records. And the reason I'm telling you this is because routinely we archive documents in electronic recording for space considerations. So if you can't access an image and you receive an error message and it's older, not like within the last 30 days, but currently it's back to about August 1st, anything prior to August 1st, then use the ILR search function to get that document, okay? You can also search by a group name or a county. I'm going to search by a county and a DARE and the date that we submitted. So we'll do all of this in one. And search. So you'll be able to see everything that was submitted to Adair County this month. I'm going to widen this so it shows 25. And you can use any of these columns. So if you're looking for something specifically, you can reorder them. you want to know how many deeds you submitted this month. Or over here, you can see the status that these are all in ready for reporter. This one down here was paid. So really good search. Under admin, got submitter information. This is basic account information. The organization name, the interface. This account number here is our internal number. It's not a bank. It's not anything to do with your banking or credit card. That you are a bank, what your address is. The fields that you can edit will become active if you select to edit. Okay. We're going to save that. Also is update account. This is the personal information. This is like change password. This is the e-submission attribute that you want to submit, okay? And back over here, submitter payment information. So again, anything that you can edit will become live if you select this. I do want to caution you that if you come in here and edit, you will see that there's no bank account information saved that is displayed, but it is saved in the background. And that if you update any information here, you will need to enter your banking information again. Failure to do that will result in a failed payment, and we'll connect with you to get that taken care of. It's a pretty easy process to come in here and update it again. Also, as admin, you can update users. So you see, we've got a lot of users on this account. You can see their status. If somebody's in pending and you need a new password for them, easily do it here and give them a new password. If you add a new user, you'll give them a username and a password, provide all the attributes that they should have, like should they have search, so this one, Corey, is only a submitter user here. But if you wanted her to have search, you would enable that right here. And submit. And then you would provide that new user with the URL so they can log in, their username and their password, and have them log in before the end of the day and update the password. There is not an email associated with a new user being added. So if anybody is inactive, I'm not sure we have anybody in here that's inactive. You can easily reactivate them by clicking on there'll be a second icon here. You can easily reactivate them, ask them to log in before the end of the day and update their password, okay? You can have unlimited users on your account and as many people in each role as you would like. So if you want everybody to be an admin so they have access to reports and users, we can absolutely do that. And if you need multiple accounts for your organization because of different locations or cost centers, we're happy to assist you with that as well. There's no charge for having an e-submission account. There's no additional charge for having multiple accounts. Reports, really easy to use. I'm going to do the settlement report, and I'm going to do it for current month. So everything for November. It's only one document so far, and you can export that to any of these formats so that you have them. Courtney, thank you for being here today. I appreciate you and your input. Okay, I'm going to try to real quickly, and I can stay as long as you need, flip over to our production site and give you a quick how to use Iowa Land Record search, because I know there were some questions about that. So I'm waiting for my token so I can get logged in. Okay, mine looks a little bit different because as an admin, you would have this here for ILR search. Mine's a little bit different, but it's the same function when you look at it. So I've got, there's what it looks like. And if I go to ILR search here, looks exactly the same. We don't have a lot of records in our staging search, so I'm going to use production, okay? So here's all the different ways that you can search. You're using a name search. The name needs to be exact or you have to use a wildcard. So let's use name search. I'm going to use my own. And if I did Long, L-I-S, not my real name, and I live in Dallas County. No results, okay? Because it's not an exact name. So I'm going to do refine, and I'm going to add the wild card. The asterisk is the wild card, and da-da, there's everything that has been recorded, okay? So exact or use the wild card. Another example, organization name. I live in Westgate Townhomes. Okay, in Dallas County. And I'm going to do this year. Nothing, okay? So we're going to use the asterisk, and that's going to bring up that it's Westgate Townhomes Association, okay? So, and if I click over here, right there, you see that the complete index information. These icons over here, clicking this one gives you view index data. This one would allow you to see the image. This one allows you to report a problem to us. So you can say there's a social security number on it. And then if you have to submit something like that, if you just put a comment that says like page 2 or something like that, that allows us to get that information redacted, okay? Let's do reference search. So you want to search by book and page, but maybe you've got some reporting information and you're not sure if the county uses book and page or if they use reference numbers. So here's what I would do. I would select county search first, and I would select Adams County, and I would select last week, okay? So I know that Adams County uses book and page, all right? So now I know how they search, so I can use how they index, so I can use reference search, book and page, Adams, and I could put in 2025, 525. There you go. Okay. Let's do a quick document type search in Adams for this month. And this is what I wanted to show you here. So we have a release of mortgage in Adams County reported on the 17th. So that was yesterday. And here's the index information, the image, if you want to report PII, or this little icon that looks like 2 pieces of paper. If you click on it, that's the associated documents. So if I hover over it, it says associated documents available. So if I click on it, it shows you all the index information, but it also shows you the mortgage and how you can look at the index on the mortgage. There's all the information, and there's how to download the PDF, okay? County search, we can pick on Adams, and we're going to say current week. All the documents that we've received for Adams County this week, okay? Let's refine that and do Polk County this week. So a lot more documents, and I'm going to show you right here. So this document was reported this morning. Polk County has transferred it to us already. And this is the image icon. Notice that there's an X over it, so it's not available. You can still look at the index information, but the PDF is unavailable because it has not been processed for redaction. So all documents that are recorded and transferred to Iowa Land Records go through a redaction process to remove personally identifiable information. Location search, platted or unplatted, with the information that you have. And if you ever experience problems with that, please reach out to us. We're happy to help you. I jokingly say that if someone says they can't find a document, they're not able to find a property, I say game on. I love to search and help you find things. And so always here to help in any way that we can. We have reached 11 o'clock. I appreciate your time today. I am here to answer any questions that you have. Kristen put our contact information in the chat pod, and we would love to have you here. Oh, Robin, it's nice to see that you're here today. I know that you are new to using e-submission, so we're excited. To the reporters that joined today and provided information, I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate you. Colton, I'm glad you're here because I know you're fairly new to the e-submission process in Lynn County, and I hope that you learned a lot. And if you ever want to see more of the submitter side of this, let us know. We can absolutely walk you through it. Webinars are recorded. We'll get this information out to you probably sometime tomorrow, and so that you would be able to view it and fast forward through it. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Have a really good day. If you have questions, you can easily email our support team, and we'll be happy to get back to you. Have a really good day, and happy Thanksgiving.